Welcome back to part 2 of the Hummer build. Um, so yesterday I did a couple things on this. I ended up sanding down the chassis. Um, I tried doing it on camera, but unfortunately, for some odd apparent reason, something happened with my footage that I I lost it. Let's just say I lost it. So what I wound up doing so far was I sanded down the aluminum because the aluminum has this little film. It has like this film on it that you have to sand off to end up getting a good braze solder on there. So that's what I did yesterday. I think it was actually kind of good that you guys didn't see that part that I did, because it was I saw the footage, edited and everything, and it ended up being a little boring. So you guys probably would have been bored anyway. So I sanded it down. What I ended up doing too was I got the rails on. As you guys can see, they're on. I don't have these little things holding them anymore, and the screws, that's gone. They're finally on. As you guys can see, I riveted them. Yes, there's 3 rivets on there, front, back, and side to side. You guys can see, got the rivets on it, front and back. So my next thing that I want to do to it is I want to cut out, since I have this set up. Actually, I don't want to cut that out yet. Since I already have this set up, what I want to do is I have some angle aluminum, which what I'm going to wind up doing with this, as you guys can see, it's angled. There you go. Trying to get that. So what I'm going to wind up doing with this is I'm going to wind up cutting some sections out. I'm going to wind up cutting a section out and pretty much put that on like so. You guys can see that. So that's what I'm going to wind up doing. And this is what is going to wind up holding my like that. So it'll be something like this. That'll be on there. You guys can see that good. So I'm gonna wind up putting that on like there, like that. It's not gonna be the whole. I'm not gonna put it on the whole piece on the bottom here. I'm just gonna wind up doing a little bit, probably about that size, which this size right here, width-wise, is about 1 1/8 inches, or 1 1/4 inches. I'm sorry. So yes, it's upside down. Sorry, but you guys, just so you guys can see, it's about 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to do that. I ended up finding this little bit of aluminum, which is about 7/8 of an inch. This is way too narrow for me to use on the bottom part here, because what I'm going to wind up doing is, once that is cut out, once this whole section here is cut out, what I'm going to do is basically put something like this, where this would end up going under like that, and this aluminum would be on the inside. You guys can see that a little bit better. So I'm going to end up doing that so I can end up mounting the transmission, which I have in here, so I can mount the transmission on. So the transmission was sitting like so. so you guys can see how this transmission was mounted. But what happened with the reason that I'm basically changing the chassis around is because I think I showed it in my first video, part 1 of I don't know, should I call this a rebuild? Guys, comment down on the in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. Should I call this a rebuild? Because basically that's what I'm doing. I'm basically rebuilding the chassis. I think I am going to call it a rebuild. So here you go. Screwing down the transmission on here. I'm not going to put all 4 screws on because it's not going to need it. I'm just basically showing. So this is how the transmission was on there. And with the transmission being like that, what happened was I had to cut out the interior of the Hummer, which I really didn't like the fact that I had to cut it out, but I did. I cut it out. I did. Not a lot of it. I cut out some parts of it, which this end is the front. If you guys can see, this is the front end of the chassis, and this is the back end of the chassis. The only reason I know the difference, which is the front end of the chassis, well, for one, the shock tower mounts, these are rounded, the back is squared out, which I'm going to wind up around. Oh great, I just broke it. My screwdriver just completely fell apart. Look at this. Just completely ended up falling apart. That is great. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Anyway, so as you guys can see, this right here is the, let me get a pen. This is the back part. This is the back part because I know it's the back part. So I have that sticker on there, and I have the shock tower mounts are squared out, and the front, if you guys can see, I have a little notch right here because of the way it was going to be mounted on the body. But what happened with that didn't work out so great. So what happened was, let me grab this thing. So the way I have this set up, you guys can see right there. So I have the chassis goes in right here. One section sits on that right there. The other one sits on this section right here. You guys can see that right there. My hand was in the way, sorry. So right there and right there is where the chassis slides in. This piece right here, you guys can see that. Sorry. So this piece right here is what basically holds the chassis in place. And if you guys can see here, it just goes right along. As you guys can see, right there is where I ended up cutting out because of the transmission, which, if you guys see, there's like a blue line right there. I would have had to cut out more because basically the whole chassis had to move over this way a little bit. Not as much as my handles are going, but just a little bit. So I figured, let me do that. Let me lower the transmission so I can not have to cut out more of the interior, because it looks horrible that I had to cut it out. And this is the passenger side here. This is the driver's side. So I had the front was mounted, I had these two clips that came up from here. I had two clips that came up from here. The chassis literally sat. Actually, here, I'll show you guys how the chassis was sitting. Actually, so as you guys can see, right there, it just slides into the back there, slides in, and this is how the chassis was sitting. So as you can see, if you guys can see it right here, probably not, sorry. You guys probably can't see it that good, but if you guys can see right in there, the chassis, the tranny is actually hitting right down here. Right down there, the chassis is hitting the interior, which it used to be fine because I made it cut out these notches and it used to sit there right, but now it doesn't. So anyway, I had the front here, if you guys can see, sorry. So right here, I had these posts that from the body originally that came up a little bit more than that, about right to about here. I ended up making these little L brackets that came up from about here, came up, and I bent it so it would hold onto the chassis, just pretty much like that. What happened with that was, oops, sorry. What happened with that was those parts of the body, those posts of the body, weren't holding up. The longer screw that I put in there, because I can put a pretty long screw in there, the longer screws I put in there, it, with this thing bouncing and everything, it didn't hold up. So what I thought about doing, which is still a little work in progress because I still don't know how I'm going to do this, but what I wound up doing was this. I've got this right here, which this is plexiglass, just screwed, put 4 holes in it on top, as you guys can see. Put screws all the way around, all 4, because there's body posts on the bottom. Well, this is going to be the top, that's the bottom, that's the top. Anyway, so I put some screws in, plexiglass. Now, what I'm going to probably wind up doing is, I'm going to more than likely probably, I don't know, cut this out or something, so I can mount the front. The interior here, I'm going to wind up cutting it down a little bit more, right around here. I'm going to wind up cutting it down a little bit more. There you go. Cut this down a little bit more so the chassis will end up coming in here more, because the body actually sits a little higher. So basically the whole front of the car, the whole front of the body was sitting kind of like that, which I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but instead of it being level, which I'd rather have it looking level, it was, the front of it was sitting a little higher. So, and I didn't like that much. So yeah, basically that's where I'm at right now. Only update I have right now is I was able to put these on, these parts on. Transmission is going to be coming out. I would start cutting away at this chassis here. I would literally start cutting away at that. But I have a 9-month-old daughter. She's asleep right now. I'm not trying to wake her up, because she literally just fell asleep. So basically that's where I'm at right now, guys. I'm definitely looking into getting different axles. I have these HPIs. You know, let me know in the comment section, should I just continue using the HPI axles, I really like the SCX10s axial. I really like the axial. Um, I'm thinking about getting an axial drive train for this. Um, More parts and everything for it. I believe I, I I like axial. These HPI Crawler King axles aren't that bad, but I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Um, Another thing I'm thinking about doing with this is after I braze, because I ended up buying brazing material, which these aluminum rods right here, as you guys can see, aluminum weld rods. Got these at Harbor Freight. They were like $15.99, and it brings 8 rods. Um, what I'm planning on doing is, let me lower this camera down so you guys can see a little better. What I'm planning on doing is around right here, all this, the side. I'll flip this over, of course, and braze right in here, braze it right in here, all around, all 4 corners. Um, After I do that, what I'm planning on doing is painting this chassis black. Um, I haven't thought about it yet, but well, I have. I'm sorry, I have thought about it, but I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I should just leave it silver. I'm thinking about painting it black just for the main fact that I paint it black, it's going to hide a lot. It's going to hide a lot that I don't want to be shown. So basically, that's where I'm at right now with this. Um, I'm kind of hoping, I'm thinking about changing the way the chassis mounts onto the Hummer, just for the main fact that try to lower the body onto the chassis, which I think will look a lot more scale than not. I mean, it's not going to look too much scale with 2.2s on there. I think for it to look probably scale, I think I'd probably end up needing 1.9s, but I like the way these 2.2s look on there. I think the 2.2s look good. Um, these tires that I have on there, they're the HPI Rock Grabbers. Again, these are straight off of a Crawler King. I basically took the Crawler King apart and just used what I needed for it. Um, so that's my update for this chassis right now. Again, if my daughter wasn't sleeping, I would definitely be on this right now. But unfortunately, I don't have that luxury because my daughter's asleep. And when she's not asleep, of course, I gotta be with her. So, guys, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, um, thank you for joining me again. And I hope to catch you in the next video.